how would you describe the new identity of the band and the power to play?
New identity of the band. I would say it's always been our identity. It's just we've focused and doubled down on that. We always kind of made albums that we wanted to be commercially acceptable as possible, but where this album is a kind of like realization over the years that what's important to us as the band, and playing live is one of our favorite things. And sometimes older songs sounded better maybe live than they did on the record, so we wanted to make an album that got people excited to come and watch us play live. And
yeah, that didn't have that, and just kind of had the songs. The thing is, the songs naturally had that anyway because of the way they're written. It was like a lot of them started from a riff, you know, like Danny just with his electric on and just writing riffs and be like, oh, that's fat, and then I just start playing drums to it and it's like, oh, that's powerful, like,
yeah.
And it's all very much in the process of how you start, whereas if you're starting, you know, and you're making demos, and it's a very different sound sonically, you know. And as Danny said,
yeah,
like with Young Dumb Thrills you have that, and then you're trying to make it work live, whereas this is essentially like not a live album, but it's a big guitar pop album. And I think it's where we're at our best. And I think it makes the process more enjoyable because we're all just focused, and we set those kind of rules early on in the process of like, this is the album we're going to make. And therefore it was kind of like, yeah, it had a clear vision. That's what I'm trying to say.
Cool, amazing. It's amazing to hear this about the album, because sometimes you make this music and you think, oh, the people will like this is commercial, but now is something more personal and about our inspirations and what you really want to do. And this is cool, this is amazing. And what was also the inspiration for the album cover? I saw here, it was amazing, and I listened to the album too, and I like it so much. And I would like to know about the inspirations for the cover and what you think about putting the cover.
Yeah, so you may have like noticed, well, it's quite, you know, Thor-esque with Love and Thunder. And you know, like those films now, they're using a lot of like 80s classic songs, you know, like Guns N' Roses and that sort of vibe. And that was very exciting for us to hear. Oh, look at all this guitar music being used for these sort of films. And it really got Dougie's juices flowing. And, you know, so he was the main sort of creative behind the artwork. And so it was like just trying to fit in the imagery with the actual sound of the albums, quite important, and something that we always loved when we were growing up and still love when we get into albums ourselves. A lot of artists now, you know, they just drop songs, and we still won't ever give up on the investment that people like yourself will have in our band, and that's more satisfying for you as a listener, having a collection of songs with an artwork, like a concept, a vision, and that's, you know, really important to us.
Cool, amazing. And about the creative process work and how this works when you are together, and how this works when you are with itself alone and think of the things, and after you make you reunite and talk about the ideas and about your inspirations and how you condense this to make music.
I think I think this place where we are now is probably the reason why this album sounds the way it does. I mean, being a band and having your own studio is a dream.
Yeah.
You know, you get to have a lot of freedom in the creative kind of, time is on your side because you can just do what you want when you want. We get to hang out differently because it's like living together again and spending that quality time to talk about things and align everyone and get inspired by things. So I think this place has a lot to answer for in terms of the whole sound of the album and inspiring us all to make power to play, really.
also, in terms of the actual songwriting process and influences and stuff, it's different. Every song's different. You know, I'd say there's 3 songs on this album where it's literally been Tom has arrived at the studio and said, I've got this song idea, and he plays it to us and we're like, yeah, that's great. And he'll often have a song and it's like finished. And then we kind of give our opinions and tweak it slightly. Like he had Where Did All the Guitars Go? And then he plays it to us and we go, I love that, but can we take that bit out and can we change the ending to this? And he's like, yeah, great, cool. And then, you know, Dougie might have an idea and then he asks Danny to come and play this guitar part because he can't play it. And then Danny starts jamming and it's like, oh, what about this? And, you know, and then often I'll come in when something's nearly finished and then I'll give my opinion and then they'll change it accordingly. But, you know, again, Danny might have an idea and he'll get a reference up and be like, this is what I'm thinking. And then it's like, oh, okay, you're thinking that. Well, let's do it like this. And it's very different. Sometimes it's one person, sometimes it's all 4 of us, sometimes it's 2 people, sometimes, you know, sometimes an idea is born out of a riff. You know, the last song on the album, for example, was a riff that a guy we did some writing with. So basically this album was McFly, and then one song we wrote with a UK artist called James Bay, and then maybe half of the album was then written with a guy called Steve. And for example, this song Shine On, he had this riff, and then I started drumming along to it. Dougie started playing this bass line, and then Danny just started singing this chorus melody, like instantly, and you're like, yeah, that's it. Sometimes it just happens as quickly as that. And then there's a song on this album that's been floating around Dougie's had for like 3 years that he's sort of always put forward and none of us were really sort of feeling it, and then suddenly it got approached in a new way and we're like, yeah, actually that really works. And so it's sometimes born like that, sometimes brews over like a 3-year period, you know.
Yeah, amazing. And what are the band's future plans with the album and the make tour, and what the fans can expect from McFly in this year?
Oh yeah, we've got summer shows, haven't we? I mean, the idea is just, I mean, I talk a lot anyway, but we're trying to save Danny's voice as well, because we've got a lot of,
as you can hear, his voice is gone.
Yeah, but we just get out there and try and get as many people as possible to listen to this album. We've got a load of summer shows and festivals, and then we've got our own tour, Power to Play tour in October and November, which I'm really excited for. We've gone back into smaller venues, small like rock venues, standing venues, and we'll just completely bosh this album out and just go for it full on. And yeah, just really like hit hard with this album hopefully, and we're very confident that the fans are gonna totally be on board. I think it's the best music we've made in a long time.
Oh, amazing. And at least I would ask you to leave a message to the Brazilian fans, because they are so passionate here, you know, so much bad.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't, I tell you, it does not go unnoticed. I mean, you know, as a band, to have all that interaction, and now we have interaction online and always seeing in comments and love, you know, it's like anyone in life, it makes you feel like wanted, and a band wants to be wanted, you know. Like, so we're grateful for it, and I'm confident that the Brazilian fans are going to love this album, and we will be back much sooner than we were, you know, the last time.